Father, I desire to see the beauty.
I just feel like before we move on to the next presenter, it's testimony time. So anybody want to testify on something that they have declared and have seen come forth? Anybody? Okay, come on up.
This is actually really exciting, okay? So, a couple years ago, I didn't know how to, well, I guess it's like 4 years now, I didn't know how to play piano. And someone's like, you know what, I just feel like, God really wants you to play the piano with your singing. And I was like, I really want to do that, like really bad. And I was like, but in my head I'm like, I don't have a piano. And my parents can't buy me one, and I can't buy me one. And I just don't know how I'm gonna learn. I can't practice at my house. And so I just prayed about it, and I was like, God, I'm just gonna say that you are gonna somehow teach me how to play piano without having a piano. So within like 6 months, I knew how to play the piano. I don't really know how it happened. I think I played after church randomly after church on Sundays and things like that, and just I don't know. I learned how to play the piano. So yeah, that was totally God. And how do you learn to play the piano without having one? Anyways, that's it.
Okay, I have a quick one. Actually, I've got hundreds, but the one that came to mind is years ago, a woman came to our region. Her name's Paula Benny, and when she got up on stage, I was like, I want to be like her. And she's this tall, blonde, was a volleyball player. She carried herself with such royalty and dignity and beauty, and her clothes were beautiful. And as she would speak, I was like, I want to carry that. And so I went from I want to carry that to I'm like Paula Benny. And so what happened was I started just declaring over myself that I was a speaker and that I was a voice for this generation. And I'm telling you, before 2010, I would get on mics and it would feel awkward. I would have fear before I would grab the mic, and that's why I have so much joy and have so much excitement about being on the mic now, because I knew I was called from a little girl. I knew I was going to speak in front of crowds, but it didn't change the fact that I was scared until I started. And I didn't even remember, I didn't think to myself, well, I have to do this because I'm going to speak at mics. I just was like, I want to be like her. I just want to be like her. And I'm like, and then it became, I am a voice. And then I would tell people my story about how I heard God say, if anyone wants to hear from me, you're going to have something for them because you like to talk. And I'm like, I do like to talk. And so it was in 2010 that I picked up a mic, and literally I had no fear. I had no after fear. I don't know if some of you have, sometimes I have real intense boldness. I'll do something, and then afterwards I'm like, I can't believe I just did that, and I'm freaking out on the inside. Does anybody ever have that happen to them? It was gone, completely gone. And I was walking around going, I'm bold, and I change the atmosphere everywhere I go. So I started saying that, I'm bold, and I change the atmosphere everywhere I go. So it was last year, and I was traveling for work, and I had my itinerary all ready to go to Central Oregon, and I knew that there was this pastor in Central Oregon, but I knew he had moved out of Central Oregon, and I just happened to look him up, and he had released a prophetic word. So this is last April, and you could probably go look on the internet and find it, but there was a prophetic word over Central Oregon last April that Randy DeMaine spoke and said that there were going to be earthquakes in Central Oregon on April 20th. And I looked at my itinerary, I'm like, I'm going to be in Central Oregon on April 20th. And one of the things Paula Benny carries is prophetic declarations where she walks out prophetic journeys. Now, Benny Johnson, Bill Johnson's wife, who's the co-pastor of Bethel, has a great book called The Happy Intercessor, and I just read it recently. It was just really encouraging. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm being sent to Central Oregon. I thought I was just going to like teach some nurses, but I'm going there to prophetically declare over the land that the enemy is not going to crush this land with earthquakes. So I was jazzed, and and then half of me is just like, oh, I have a job to do. So I get on the airplane, and I'm just doing my thing, and April 20th, I get up, and I have to get up like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't a morning person. I'm becoming a morning and night person. That's my other declaration over me. I'm becoming a morning and night person, but at the time I was not a morning person, and I'm like dragging my carcass out of bed, and it's dark, and I have to drive like a half an hour to the hospital. But it dawned on me, oh my gosh, it's April 20th. It's the morning of April 20th, and I'm here for a reason. And it wasn't even like my thoughts. It was like it came upon me, and I was like, all of a sudden purpose started rising up in me. And this is what I prayed. Okay, so I know for sure there's one righteous person in the land, because it's me. Because Jesus says in his word that his blood, his sacrifice on the cross, has made us righteous. So I'm like, I'm the righteous person in the land, so no earthquakes can injure anyone, no damage, no hurt. There's one person here, no. Like you were saying, just no. I mean, that was basically my prayer, and I went to work. Well, one other person in the hospitals was actually like in a prophetic church, and I talked to this person during work, and I said, did you hear about the Randy Domain word? Because that's where he used to live, and his church was there, and there's a whole other story on that whole thing. I'll tell you the whole Randy Domain story sometime, but basically, I did not know that the pastor of the church that he started in Central Oregon, the pastor of the church now, works in the intensive care unit in the hospital I was in, teaching people. Okay? Did you catch that? Okay. So anyway, a lot of bizarre coincidence. God set up. So the next day, I go to work again, and this guy is standing there. This guy from the church that Randy Domain started, and it's April 21st, and he comes up to me and he goes, did you hear? And I said, what? He said, 4 earthquakes in Central Oregon, none of them over 2. None of them over 2. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Now, I wasn't the only prophetic intercessor in the land, but I'm telling you, I walked away from that going, I changed the weather. And then I had another experience where I was driving through Central Illinois, and literally the clouds were black. I'm leaving Arkansas and driving home because I couldn't get on a plane because of tornadoes. So I'm driving through Arkansas. I'm serious. I was like, okay, I'm going to drive. So clear over here, black over here, Central Illinois, and I'm like, no tornado damage in Illinois, not going to happen. And I'm just like, no, not going to happen, not going to happen. No touchdowns, no injuries, no. So I'm on the radio, which I don't ever listen to the radio. But I happen to be on the radio because my mom is like calling me, where are you? Are you in Central Illinois? Are you still driving home? Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. I need to kind of pay attention because the rain's going sideways. So I'll call you later. So I hang up, and I've got the radio on, and basically a tornado comes over, and I literally right here driving down, 55? There's 55 and 57 in Central Illinois. I'm on, we'll say 55, and on 57, which is literally 40 miles to my left, there's a tornado scene. And it never touches them. And as soon as I had declared it, the radio actually said, and oh my gosh, it's gone! And I was like, I declare, and the weather changes, and it's crazy. It's like this is the kind of stuff that when you start declaring things and you start seeing things happen, it just increases your faith more and more. So, anyone else? Doesn't have to be a weather changing thing. Because it's all good.
Yeah, woo!
Yeah, that was real good. How's everybody doing? Yeah. This was like forever ago, but it's still with me today, so it's still present. When I was small, my daddy, he was the best musician I thought ever in the world. So I wanted to be like my daddy, play the guitar, sing. Everywhere daddy went, everybody went and sang. So when I was little, I remember had to be no bigger than 7, 8. Me and my mama, we used to pray at night, and she say her prayer, and I pray with her. I close my eyes and look at her, cause she pray forever. I wait for my turn. She let me say my little prayer, you know, God bless mommy, God bless daddy, God bless grandma, God bless grandpa, and it was just burning in my spirit. I don't know if really this is a declaration, but I just knew that one of these days I was gonna be able to sing and play like daddy did. So I would say, God bless mom, God bless daddy, and I would say, God bless the guitars, God bless the amplifiers, and God bless the guitar chords. So that was my little hope in playing guitar. So one day, daddy came home, and he had a tape with him of him, because he used to play for this quartet group. My favorite gospel music is quartet gospel singing. Like the Canton Spirituals, Lee Williams and the QCs, I probably don't know it. But that's me, quartet. He brought the tape home, and I started out with a hanger and a rubber band. Everywhere I went, everybody seen me. No bigger than this tall. Rubber band and a hanger. You know how they got the little hooks on the hangers? The plastic hangers, you put the rubber band. Bang, 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 bang. So anyway, he came home one day, and he bought me so many guitars. I didn't have no really good friends when I was a kid, so he'd bring me guitars home, and I'd act like they was my friends, so I'd wrestle with them, put them in headlocks and stuff. Throw them on the bed or jump on them. I didn't know nothing about guitars, you know, I was little, but I know I wanted to play. So he came home and he had the tape, so I watched the tape, man. I'm like, how he playing that bass. I mean, he eating that bass up too, man. So, and he left the tape there. So every day I had my mind made up. I didn't have a guitar because daddy said, I'm not gonna buy you another one. Because every time he bought me one, I tear it up. So I'm not gonna buy you another one. I said, okay. So what I did was I took some I took some shoestrings. And it wasn't the flat ones, it had to be the round ones. Like a really good, like a guitar string. And I had a little old black, it's still at my house. It's a black guitar, a lead guitar about this tall. It was messed up, all beat up. I messed it up bad. So what I did was I recreated it. I put guitar strings on it. I put 5 of them on it because daddy played a 5 string. So I put 5 of them on there. And God made it to where I could hear what my daddy was playing. Because, I mean, man, he was like my hero. So I could hear it. And God made it available so I could hear what was right, what was wrong. So I tuned my guitar strings up. They come loose and I tune them up. So I turn on my daddy's tape and I get me like a little trash can. I get me a broom and I use it as a microphone. And because he played and sang at the same time. And so I get my little guitar with my shoestrings on it, get my little, what did I have? I had a belt as a strap. And no bigger than this tall, man. And so every time he come out, I watch daddy move just like him and play just like him. I know I'm not playing anything, but I'm looking at daddy and I'm watching the tape and I'm playing. So I'm like, one of these days, man, I'm gonna play. And I'm gonna play. So I was able to, he played this tune. That was my favorite thing for him to play. Every time he came home, daddy, play that. So he would play it, so I remember it in my head. So I would tune my guitar till I could play it. So I kept playing. So Daddy came back home. I was like, Daddy, check this out. I can play. He's like, no, you can't. Yes, I can. So I got the guitar. He laughed because he said, what did you do? Because his guitar is shoestrings all over the guitar. So he was laughing. What'd you do with the guitar? Hey, I had to make it work. So I was playing, so I was like, listen. So he put his guitar, if you put your ear down to the wood, you can hear the guitar. Like, you can hear like it's an amplifier, you can hear it really good. So I said, listen. So he put his ear down, I put the tape on, and I was marking him. So he looked at me, he said, Chief, you playing? I said, yeah, I know. And so he went and bought me. So what had happened was after that, my Uncle Vincent, he played the bass. So I would go to church and play. Make a long story short, one Sunday, I was in church, and that's the only tune I know. That's all I know. They were singing this song, old Baptist church. So they were singing the song, walk with me, Lord, oh, walk with me. That's how they were singing. So my Uncle Vincent, before he started singing, he looked at me, and I had like, I used to play the drums. I played drums when I was 3. I had like this little drum pedal thing. And I was sitting there, so he bought him a brand new bass. So he had it sitting there, I remember like it was yesterday. And I was sitting there, and how it was the pulpit was right here, the choir stand was where I'm standing, and then that was the church. So I'm sitting right here, and so he looks at me, and he points at the bass. And I look at him, I'm like, And he's like, yeah. I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, you want me to play? I was like, no, I can't play, I can't do it. You know, I had my mind, I can't do it. So, man, he started singing that song, walk with me. So I picked it up, and I was like, and I looked at him to make sure he was right, and he was like, yeah, that's right. So, and Daddy came back home, and I showed him, and he showed me a little few things, how to do it right and everything. And ever since then, I was about 9 years old, 8 years old. I've been playing. I'm 22 years old now. So I thank God.
I just want to reiterate, that is prophetic declaration. When you act out something, how many here have held up poles, bottles, and sang in them? I played on a fake drum, and I was Ringo Starr. And that was intercession for my son to play drums. There are certain things that we do that are prophetic declarations over our lives. And it's not, it's funny that like everybody here sang in a bottle, because not everybody does that, by the way. So anyway. Very cool story. Thank you for sharing, because it doesn't kind of give you like, oh my gosh, I do that, because we can hear about somebody's prophetic declarations and be like encouraged to do it, like it's future, but a lot of times the power is in a testimony, is like, oh my gosh, I've been doing that. Oh my gosh, that's happening. I didn't even think about that as prayer or declarations or believing what God is going to do. I want to just release one more thing, and then Mark's coming up, so you can come on up as I'm saying this. So I was in church. This goes back to like, I don't know, 2007, I think. And it's Kingdom Sending Center. Actually, at the time, it was Open Heart Ministries, and I knew that Ron Coltman was taking the offering, but I wrote a check for $1 million. Wow. And I wrote in the memo, just practice, because I knew that Ron was getting the checks, and I knew that it was a prophetic declaration. I was like, I'm writing a $1 million check, because I'm going to be writing $1 million checks. I know I'm a Joseph. I know I'm called to bring, God's going to give me millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, and I'm going to pour it into the harvest. So I wrote a $1 million check, and I wrote down, just practice, and Ron Coltman gives it back to me, adds a 0, and writes return on investment. So in a minute, I made how much? So it went from 1 million to 10 million, so how much did I make? 9,999,999. Yeah, so a lot of money in one interaction. But that was a prophetic declaration. And I had a dream shortly after that I was looking at my bank statement and said I had $5,555,000 in some odd cents. And I called the bank to ask if it was, oh my gosh, this doesn't seem right. And they said, oh yeah, that's right. You're getting 93% on your percent return on your money. So for years, I was walking around going, I looked up scripture. I mean, I knew that number 93 meant something. And I'm like, what is it? What is that? I'm looking at Psalm 93. I'm like, nothing's really hitting me. And when you get something and it hangs for a while, you know that something's on it. It was hanging on me. And not like every day, but it was hanging on me for a while. And then finally, I was teaching a dream interpretation class. And we're unpacking it. And I wrote down the 93, and someone said, add up 9 and 3. And I'm like, it's 12! It's 12! It's apostolic! I know it! I mean, it took months and possibly years for me to understand what 93% return on my investment was. But it's apostolic investment. So I just want to declare over each one of you that you are called to be people of favor. Amen. You are called to be people of wealth, whether it's wealth in finances or wealth in people resources or other kinds of resources. You're called to plant and see a harvest.